Hello there, very good morning and welcome to the Breakfast News. I'm Tracy Shilshi and in the next 30 minutes catch all the day's top stories, starting with the headlines. Banks gear up to face huge salary rush day at branches across the country. Officials say special efforts are on to pump in additional cash into banks. India posts the world's fastest growth rate in September quarter, but news is overshadowed by expectations of a slowdown in the months following the note ban exercise. Police to investigate Jaish-e-Mohammed link in Tuesday's terror attack on Nagrota army camp. Terrorists entered India through a 75 to 80-meter tunnel from the international boundary. Union Cabinet approves 2,000 crore rupee development package for displaced people of POK living in the country. Proposal to help over 36,000 families. And the Met Department says cyclone likely to hit Tamil Nadu coast by Friday. Schools in Cuddalore and Nagapattinam districts and Puducherry to remain closed for the next 2 days. Top story today, banks are gearing up to face a huge rush at branches across the country as people withdraw their salaries on the first day of the month today. Many ATMs are still reported to be dry, even as top government officials said special efforts are on to pump in additional cash into banks. The Reserve Bank, in fact, said that currency printing presses are working overtime to print currency notes. With a lag of as many as 21 days for printed notes to reach the markets, bankers expect the heavy rush to continue at branches for at least a week. Some bank officials also fear that withdrawal limits may have to be further lowered in view of the need to cater to around 50 lakh employees and 58 lakh pensioners. Last week, the government decided to provide 10,000 rupees in advance to non-gazetted staff members as a relief measure. Many banks are also setting up additional counters for withdrawal. Meanwhile, protests against the government's move to scrap notes continue across the country. In Moradabad district, hundreds of bank customers took to the streets, raising slogans against bank employees. Many claimed that they had to stand in long queues for hours and were still unable to withdraw their money.
हम लोग यहाँ 2-3 महीने लेन में लग रहे हैं आन के पैसे बिल्कुल नहीं मिल रहा है मान लीजिए साहब पता नहीं क्या कर रहा है पैसे का क्या नहीं कर रहा है ये नंबर आवे और कहते हैं पैसे खत्म
4 बजे कहते हैं केस खत्म हो गया 4 दिन से बैंक के बंद है बताओ क्या करेंगे हम लोग.
And in Lucknow, farmers dumped tons of potatoes on streets, claiming that they were not finding buyers as people ran out of cash. City residents rushed to the streets to collect them as news spread that farmers were dumping their produce.
नवंबर के महीने में नोटबंदी हो गई, किसानों की बात का ध्यान नहीं रखा गया. हमारा आलू नहीं बिक रहा है, धान नहीं बिक रहा, नहरों में पानी नहीं है, जो हमारे नलकूप हैं उनका बिजली का बिल जमा है फिर भी कनेक्शन काटे जा रहे हैं. आखिर इस नवंबर के महीने में अगर किसानों के साथ ये अत्याचार हो रहा है तो किसान कैसे जिएगा.
मंडी में सब्जी बिक नहीं रही है और ये परेशान है, इसलिए 2000 की नोट जो चालू किया है इसकी वजह से इन लोगों को परेशानी हो रही है, बिक नहीं रहा है तो ये बांट रहे हैं.
In fact, even as we speak, opposition party leaders, their meeting is underway in Parliament. In fact, a united opposition had yesterday also sought to corner the government in the upper house over demonetization, and they insisted on condoling the debts allegedly due to the withdrawal of high-value currency notes. Accusing the opposition of trying to cause obstruction, the government in fact pressed for discussion.
The opposition on Wednesday continued its tirade against the government over the demonetization issue. Upping the ante against the government, opposition parties alleged that people have died due to the ill-conceived move and demanded that an arbitrary reference be made for them.
82 लोग, बुजुर्ग, औरतें, मर्द, बच्चे जो इस सरकार की गलत नीतियों की वजह से और बगैर तैयारी उन्होंने ये डिमोनेटाइजेशन अनाउंस किया, उसमें 82 लोग मारे गए, उनको भी श्रद्धांजलि देनी चाहिए.
जो नोटबंदी का बिना तैयारी के तो सरकार ने जो डिसीजन लिया है तो उससे लगभग 90 के आसपास चर्चा शुरू करो मर चुके हैं. तो हम ये चाहते हैं कि इन दोनों मामलों को लेकर
चर्चा शुरू कीजिए,
प्रस्ताव लाए,
चर्चा शुरू कीजिए. आप लोग चर्चा के लिए तैयार नहीं है.
प्रस्ताव आना चाहिए सरकार की ओर से.
जो नोटबंदी की है वो देश के लिए की है, तो देश के खातिर जो लोग 90 लोग जो लाइन में खड़े थे, बूढ़े बच्चे, वो सब लोग जो है वो उनका इंतकाल हुआ।
Reiterating their demand for the Prime Minister's presence in the House, the opposition parties also asked for compensation for the kin of persons who lost their lives due to demonetization.
The Prime Minister has said a lot of things outside the House, painting all political parties in a very poor light. He needs to come here and tender an apology. Let's carry on with the debate after that.
मामला उठाया है उससे मैं पूरी तरह सहमत हूँ। एक चीज़ और कहना चाहता हूँ कि जो लोग लाइन में खड़े मरे हैं उनको सरकार मुआवजा दे। गरीब लोग मरे हैं उनको कम से कम 10 लाख रुपया हर व्यक्ति को मिलना चाहिए, चाहे वो महिला हो, चाहे पुरुष हो, चाहे बच्चा हो। ये इसके गरीब लोग हैं, गरीब लाइन में खड़े हुए थे, अपने जीवन भर की कमाई को बदलना चाहते थे और उसमें मर गए लोग।
Refuting all claims, the government urged the opposition to resume the discussion on demonetization.
जो दो विषय जिनका कई माननीय सदस्यों ने जिक्र किया है, एक करेंसी का विषय है, एक जो सीमा के ऊपर स्थिति है। करेंसी के विषय पे चर्चा चल रही है और सीमा की स्थिति के संबंध में अगर विपक्ष चर्चा चाहता है तो सरकार उसके लिए भी तैयार है।
Demonetization has brought the government and the opposition at loggerheads. Wednesday was the 10th consecutive day when proceedings of Rajya Sabha were disrupted due to the issue. Kriti Mishra, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now, India has posted the world's fastest growth rate in the September quarter, but the news has been overshadowed by expectations of a slowdown in the coming months following the government's unexpected move to remove the high denomination banknotes from circulation. Gross domestic product clocked an annual 7.3% growth between July and September, faster than 7.1% in the previous quarter and higher than China's 6.7%. However, the overall growth was lower than expected. Further, it was primarily driven by consumer and government spending, while also highlighting a deep contraction in capital investment. Chief Economic Advisor Arvind Subramanian said that the impact of demonetization in the third quarter will be subject to a considerable amount of uncertainty.
Nominal GDP growth has picked up a fair amount, accelerated from about 10.4 to 12.1, and I think this is kind of especially good news for the private sector. Their balance sheets will be, somewhat helped by the fact that nominal GDP growth has picked up. I think exports have also at least reversed the decline. There's a small increase in exports, so that's also good news.
And now to the latest on the Nagrota terror attack probe. The police is probing if Jaish-e-Mohammed was responsible for Tuesday's attack on the army camp in which 7 soldiers lost their lives. This after a note written in Urdu with the name of Jaish's Afzal Guru squad was recovered from the bodies of the 3 terrorists who were also killed in the encounter.
The terrorists who attacked the Nagrota army base in Jammu entered India using a tunnel. A 75 to 80 meter tunnel from the international boundary was found during a combing operation. This tunnel is believed to have been used by the 3 terrorists to infiltrate into India.
Today morning only, during a thorough search of the area, we were in a position to detect a very small tunnel.
Security forces also recovered a huge cache of arms and ammunition, including 7 IEDs from the slain terrorists.
AK-47 3 मिली, AK-47 की 20 magazines मिली. They were all loaded. 517 rounds थे उनके पास में ammunition के. empty cartridges भी जो उन्होंने चला दिए थे वो भी कुछ मिले. 8 mm की पिस्टल एक थी, मैगजीन भी उसके साथ में एक थी. कैमोफ्लाज यूनिफॉर्म थी 2, रेडियो सेट्स थे 2, जीपीएस नंबर जीपीएस वाज देयर, मोबाइल पावर बैंक 2 थे.
Army Chief General Dalbir Singh Suhag also visited the army base where he was briefed about Tuesday's terror attack.
हमारी तरफ से सुरक्षा व्यवस्था जो है वो चाक चौबंद है, चौकस है और हमारी पूरी तैयारी है. 24 घंटे हम तैयार हैं 24/7. जिन हालात में डिफिकल्ट टाइम्स में हम गुजर रहे हैं तो उसमें इस तरह के इंसिडेंट होने की संभावना रहती है और हम उसके लिए तैयार हैं।
Gunmen raided the base just before dawn on Tuesday, firing at officers before entering the officers' mess. In the mess, they took security men, women and children hostage for several hours. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And in Rajya Sabha, the opposition had raised the demand for an obituary reference for the soldiers who died in the terror attack on the army camp in Nagrota on Tuesday. The opposition accused the government of being insensitive and demanded the defence minister's statement on the issue. However, the government did clarify that combing operations were still on, at least till then, and proposed to initiate a discussion on the border issue.
As soon as the House met for the day, the opposition raised demands of paying tribute to the 7 army personnel martyred in the Nagrota terror strike. The Congress termed the situation grim and demanded the defence minister's statement on the terror attack.
नगरोटा के जो हादसा हुआ उसको लेकर सुबह हमारे एमपी चाहते थे ओबिचुरी हो जाएगा तो डिफेंस मिनिस्टर स्टेटमेंट दे दे डिफेंस मिनिस्टर स्टेटमेंट दे दे सर डिफेंस मिनिस्टर को आके स्टेटमेंट देना चाहिए डिफेंस मिनिस्टर को आके यहाँ स्टेटमेंट देना चाहिए इतनी बड़ी घटना इतनी बड़ी घटना हुई है मिनिस्टर डिफेंस मिनिस्टर क्यों नहीं स्टेटमेंट देते
Meanwhile, TMC and BSP joined ranks in condemning the killings of Jawans post-surgical strike.
जब से सर्जिकल स्ट्राइक हुआ है जम्मू कश्मीर में उसके बाद 25 आर्मी पर्सोनल का मौत हुआ है पिछले दिन कल भी 7 आर्मी जवान शहीद हो गए
हमारी पार्टी का ये कहना है जब से सर्जिकल स्ट्राइक हुआ है तो तब से लेकर अब तक तो हमारे काफी जवान शहीद हो गए हैं और अभी रिसेंटली 2 अधिकारियों को मिलाकर 5 और थे तो 7 हमारे जो जवान हैं वो शहीद हो गए हैं लेकिन माननीय सभापति जी तो सरकार इस मामले में हमें बिल्कुल भी संवेदनशील नजर नहीं आ रही है
The government denounced the alleged politicization of the border issue and stressed that combing operations were underway in the terror-hit area. It also offered a discussion on the border issue.
सीमा की स्थिति के संबंध में अगर विपक्ष चर्चा चाहता है तो सरकार उसके लिए भी तैयार है
हमारे सुरक्षा बल दुश्मनों के मुंह तोड़ जवाब दे रहे हैं देश के दुश्मनों का खात्मा कर रहे हैं ऑपरेशन खत्म होने के लिए आपको सारी बताई जाएगी
The chair clarified that an obituary reference would be made at an appropriate time.
What the minister said is that the operation is going on there. See, yes, after that, information will be shared with the House and we can have obituary also.
The proceedings of the House were stalled as the opposition and Treasury benches sparred over the issue.
See, what is the convention?
With inputs from Vishal Dhaya, Kriti Mishra, Rajya Sabha TV.
With that, a quick break. We'll be back with more news in a bit. Stay with us.
Tales that inspire. Stories of social change. A salute to diversity. Promoting public discourse. Events that motivate. Inspiring the innovative spirit. Watch Rajya Sabha television documentaries.
Welcome back. Let's continue getting you more national news. And in fact, the Union Cabinet yesterday approved a 2,000 crore rupee development package for the displaced people of Pakistan-occupied Kashmir living in the country. The proposal will help over 36,000 families. Each of them will get around 5.5 lakh to enable themselves to earn an income and subsist their livelihood. The Cabinet also approved liberalization, simplification and rationalization of the existing visa regime to facilitate entry of foreigners for tourism, business and medical purposes. In fact, among other decisions, the Cabinet approved inclusion of 15 new castes and modification of 13 other castes in the central list of other backward classes. It also approved Kota unit of Instrumentation Limited and the transfer of Palakkad unit of the company to the Kerala government. Other approvals include a 10,000 crore rupees suburban rail link project in Mumbai, an ex post facto approval of the negotiating position taken up by India at the recent climate meet in Rwanda to phase down the damaging hydrofluorocarbons. Now, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley will lead the Indian delegation at the two-day Heart of Asia conference beginning Saturday. Over 30 countries, including China, US, Russia, Iran and Pakistan, are taking part in the meet. The main conference will be inaugurated jointly by Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Afghan President Ashraf Ghani on the 4th of December. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley will co-chair the Heart of Asia conference along with the Afghan Foreign Minister Hekmat Karzai. And Afghanistan, remember, is the permanent chair of Heart of Asia, while India is its co-chair this year, being the host. Pakistan's Foreign Policy Chief Sartaj Aziz will also be attending the conference. However, it is not clear whether both the countries will hold any bilateral meetings on the sidelines of the summit. The Heart of Asia platform was floated to encourage security, political and economic cooperation between Afghanistan and its neighbours. External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj, who is unwell, will not be attending the meet.
This year, the ministerial conference will be co-chaired by the Afghan Foreign Minister, and on our side, it will be the Finance Minister.
We have not received any request from Pakistan for a bilateral meeting on the sidelines of the Heart of Asia Ministerial Conference.
Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi's official Twitter account was hacked on Wednesday evening, and then hackers left abusive tweets that were soon deleted. The name of the verified Twitter handle at Office of RG was also changed. Rahul Gandhi's social network team got in touch with Twitter India after the incident, and citing it, the party raised questions on the digital safety of Indians and said it reflects disturbing insecurities of the prevalent culture in the country. The BJP, though, accused the Congress of it trying to discredit digital transactions and creating a scare among people of the country.
It is extremely sad that Office of RG Twitter account has been hacked. Such lowly tactics will not drown the voice of reason, nor will it deter Rahulji from continuing to raise people's voice. Unscrupulous, unethical, and roguish conduct of venal trolls reflects the disturbing insecurities of the prevalent fascist culture. It also reflects the lack of digital safety in India.
The Congress party is trying its best to discredit digital transactions and to create a scare among the people of the country.
The Met Department has announced a cyclone could hit Tamil Nadu coast between Vedaranyam and Chennai by tomorrow. The Cyclone Warning Division of the IMD said that satellite imagery showed a depression over the southeast Bay of Bengal. Chennai and other coastal regions along with Puducherry will receive heavy to very heavy rainfall in the next 2 days. The cyclone is expected to move in west-northwest direction and will cross between Vedaranyam and Puducherry by the early hours of Friday. The IMD has advised fishermen not to venture into sea. The Tamil Nadu government has also said that schools in Cuddalore and Nagapattinam districts and Puducherry will remain closed for the next 2 days. The NDRF has kept 5 teams on standby.
The well-marked low-pressure area which was lying over the southeast bay yesterday intensified further and intensified to cyclonic storm, and today morning at 8:30 lying at about 735 km southeast of Puducherry or southwest Bay of Bengal.
We'll keep an eye on the situation there. Meanwhile, India and the US today inked nearly 5,000 crore rupee deal for 145 M777 ultra-light howitzers. The weapons will be mostly deployed near the borders with China. This is the first deal for artillery guns since the Bofors scandal in the 1980s. The deal for the 145 American ultralight howitzers was recently cleared by the Cabinet Committee on Security. The deal was inked as a 2-day meeting of the 15th India-US Military Cooperation Group began in New Delhi. It was finalized after India sent a letter of request to the US government showing interest in buying the guns that will be deployed in high-altitude areas in Arunachal Pradesh and Ladakh, both bordering China. National capital Delhi witnessed the second day of the winter season today. A dense layer of fog engulfed the capital early this morning, reducing visibility to below 50 meters at the airport. The fog temporarily hit flight and train operations. Around 50 trains bound to Delhi have been delayed. Meanwhile, in UP, in Mathura, 1 person died and more than 10 were injured after 12 vehicles crashed into each other due to dense fog at the Yamuna Expressway. Foggy conditions were also reported from Punjab, Haryana, Chandigarh, Uttar Pradesh. And according to the Met Department, temperatures are likely to decrease further in the coming days and the fog will intensify. Pollution levels too are expected to spike. And here's a look at what else is making a buzz across the country in Nationwide. Supreme Court on Wednesday ordered that the national anthem will be played in cinema halls across the country and people will stand up when it is being played. It is also said that the national flag will be shown on the screen at the time. The Apex Court said no one can take commercial benefits by playing the anthem. The centre, though, welcomed the Supreme Court's verdict, while the Congress raised doubts over its implementation. The Apex Court also ordered status quo on land acquired for construction of the Sutlej-Yamuna link canal stretch in Punjab and appointed the Union Home Secretary, Punjab's Chief Secretary and the DGP as receivers for the purposes of submitting a report on the ground situation. After the verdict of the Apex Court on the 10th of November, the Punjab government had denotified nearly 5,000 acres of land acquired for the canal. Petrol prices were hiked by a marginal 13 paise a litre, while diesel rates were cut by 12 paise in line with global trends. The revision in rates announced by the Indian Oil Corporation is excluding the state levies, and the actual change will be higher after considering them. After the revision, petrol in Delhi will cost 66 rupees 10 paise a litre, while diesel will cost 54 rupees 57 paise a litre. And here's a look at what's likely to make news in the day ahead. President Pranab Mukherjee will present the second ICCR Distinguished Indologist Award to Professor Yu Long Yu of China today at Rashtrapati Bhavan. The annual Distinguished Indologist Award has been instituted by the ICCR to recognize eminent Indologists working abroad who have made outstanding contribution to the study, teaching and research of India's philosophy, thought, history, art, culture, languages, literature, civilization and society. The Supreme Court will hear a petition seeking the transfer of RJD leader Mohammad Shahabuddin from Siwan district jail to another jail and his trial in Delhi. On Tuesday, the Bihar government told the Apex Court that it is not averse to shifting him from Siwan jail to Tihar prison. The court had on Monday, in fact, said that it will be a test case for the concept of fair trial and witness protection. Delhi High Court will pronounce its verdict today on 454 petitions filed by drug and healthcare majors challenging the centre's decision to ban 344 fixed-dose combination medicines. The Apex Court had reserved the order after hearing regular arguments of various companies, central government and some NGOs like the All India Drug Action Network over a span of the past 2 months, starting from March 2016. Now, the world's largest oil exporters, the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries or OPEC, will cut oil production for the first time since 2008 to reduce oil surplus. The decision came on Wednesday in Vienna, where all 14 member countries agreed to cut oil output from 33.7 million barrels per day to 32.5 million barrels a day starting January next year for 6 months. The biggest oil producer, Saudi Arabia, will take the maximum cut of almost 0.5 million barrels per day, while other countries including UAE, Kuwait and Qatar will cut output by 0.3 million barrels per day. The accord is aimed at reducing global supply that has kept oil prices low. OPEC produces 1/3 of the world's oil, and it hopes that the decision will help rebalance market and reduce stock overhang.
This is a major step forward, and we, with my colleagues, we think that it is a historic moment to come to this agreement, which will definitely help in rebalancing the market, and it will help reducing the stock overhang. The market needs to be rebalanced. Rebalancing the market would need courageous decisions from OPEC and with the support of some key countries of non-OPEC.
Now, the charter plane that crashed in Colombia, virtually wiping out an entire Brazilian soccer team, was running out of fuel, had no electrical power, and was preparing for an emergency landing, is what a leaked audio recording is now suggesting. In the audio, the pilot can be heard repeatedly requesting permission to land due to an electrical failure and lack of fuel. Just 6 of the 77 people on board the plane survived. Investigators from Brazil have joined Colombian counterparts to check 2 black boxes from the crash site. The disaster on Monday night has sent shockwaves around the global soccer world. The Brazilian football team, Chapecoense, had been due to play a cup final on Wednesday evening, and thousands of soccer fans filled a stadium on the Brazilian city of Chapeco to honor the players at a memorial event. In a moving vigil to the victims, the stadium sang out the names of the players killed and shouted champions. And here are more international news updates in World Wrap. The UN Security Council imposed new sanctions on North Korea that are aimed at cutting its export revenue by a quarter. The sanctions come in the wake of Pyongyang's 5th and largest nuclear test in September. The 15-member council unanimously adopted a resolution to slash North Korea's biggest export, coal, by about 60%, with an annual sales cap of $400.9 million. The US drafted the resolution and also bans copper, nickel, silver and zinc exports and the sale of statues by Pyongyang. A top UN envoy has warned that the Syrian city of Aleppo is in danger of becoming a giant graveyard as the government advances on rebel-held areas. UN humanitarian chief Stephen O'Brien urged the Security Council to take urgent action to assist the people of eastern Aleppo. According to reports, at least 34 people died in the latest shelling of government and opposition-controlled areas. Iraq's elite counter-terrorism service made new gains on Wednesday on the eastern side of the IS-held city of Mosul, a commander has said, as the offensive to retake the jihadist stronghold enters its 7th week. One of the commanders of the Special Forces, Major General Abdul Ghani al-Asadi, said that the CTS troops had made good progress. And that's all we have for you on the Breakfast News. Thanks so much for joining us.